The deception. The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between stars, a crystalline structure that had witnessed 10,000 years of diplomacy. Today it would witness something unprecedented. Ambassador Kelvar of the Tarathi Empire stood before the assembled delegates, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Behind him, holographic displays showed humanity's colonies burning. "The human experiment has failed," he announced, his translator rendering his clicking speech into perfect council standard. 3 of their outer settlements have been neutralized. Their military response was inadequate. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Zephyron representatives clicked their mandibles in approval. The silicon-based Krell delegates pulsed with what might have been amusement. They surrendered their 4th colony without even deploying their fleet, Kelvar continued. "I propose we divide their remaining territories according to the predecessor accords. The humans lack the spine for galactic politics. Council Matriarch Valen, a being of pure energy contained within a diplomatic shell, resonated with concern. This troubles me. Our intelligence on humanity remains incomplete. What more do we need to know?" Kelvar's confidence bordered on contempt. "They're weak, divided. Their own factions fight each other more than they resist external threats. We've observed their transmissions. They can't even agree on basic governance." What Kelvar didn't know was that every human colony he'd attacked had been carefully sacrificed. What he called weakness was patience. What he mistook for division was democracy in action. On Earth, in a bunker beneath the Himalayas, Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen watched the council proceedings with cold calculation. "He took the bait," she said quietly. Around her, the Joint Strategic Command observed in silence. Generals and admirals from every human nation stood united for the first time in their contentious history. The screens before them showed something the galaxy had never suspected humanity possessed. "The Tarathi fleet is moving on Luna Colony," reported Commander Okonkwo. "Just as predicted." Admiral Chen allowed herself the ghost of a smile. "How long until they're in position?" 72 hours. "And our assets?" "Fully deployed. They still don't know we're watching." The truth was simple and terrifying. Humanity had lied. For 50 years since first contact with the Zephyrons, humans had carefully cultivated an image of weakness. They'd hidden their true capabilities behind a facade of disorganization and technological inferiority. Every defeated colony had been evacuated days before attack. Every destroyed military vessel had been remotely piloted. Every plea for mercy had been calculated theater. Because humanity had learned something crucial in those first years of galactic contact, something that had shaped their entire strategy. The galaxy was complacent. The established powers had grown comfortable in their hierarchies, lazy in their dominance. They hadn't fought a real war in centuries. Humans, though. Humans had never stopped fighting. Not each other, not their environment, not the very concept of limitation itself. "Ma'am?" Okonkwo's voice carried a hint of concern. "The civilian evacuations from the inner colonies. Some families are refusing to leave. They say running makes us look weak." Chen turned to face him. "Tell them the truth. Tell them that appearing weak is the most powerful weapon we have. Our ancestors knew this. Every underdog in history has known this. You let your enemy underestimate you until the moment of maximum advantage." She gestured to the main screen, where Kelvar continued his victory speech to the council. "He thinks he's conquered us. He thinks we're broken. In 72 hours, he'll learn what humanity truly is." In the Tarathi flagship Dominion's Fang, Kelvar reviewed the tactical displays with satisfaction. Luna Colony, humanity's second most important settlement, home to 3 billion souls, lay before him, seemingly defenseless. "Their evacuation ships are fleeing in all directions," his tactical officer reported. Disorganized, panicked. As expected, Kelvar settled into his command throne. "Prepare the bombardment arrays. We'll give them one chance to surrender. Then we'll demonstrate what happens to species who refuse to accept their place. What his sensors couldn't. Detect were the ghost signatures in the asteroid belt beyond Luna. Ships that didn't exist according to any human registry. Weapons platforms that humanity had spent 50 years building in secret, in the dark spaces between worlds. Back on Earth, Admiral Chen received the final confirmations. All civilian populations secured. All military assets in position. Stealth fields holding at 99.8% efficiency. She took a deep breath. 50 years of deception, 50 years of sacrifice, 50 years of letting the galaxy believe humanity was prey. Send the signal, she ordered. Execute Operation Revealed Fang. Across human space, ships that had never officially existed began powering up. Soldiers who had trained for decades in secret checked their equipment. Scientists activated weapons that broke several galactic conventions humanity had never actually signed. The greatest deception in galactic history was about to end, and the galaxy was about to learn why evolution had made humans apex predators. The revelation: the Tarathi fleet emerged from hyperspace around Luna, with all the confidence of a predator approaching wounded prey. 73 warships arranged themselves in a perfect bombardment formation, a display meant to terrify as much as destroy. On the Dominion's Fang's bridge, Kelvar opened a channel to Luna Colony. Humans of Luna. His voice boomed across every frequency. You have one planetary rotation to evacuate completely. After that, his tactical officer's sudden intake of breath cut him off. Sir, sensor contacts. Multiple signatures appearing throughout the system. Kelvar's eyes narrowed at his display. 1 contact became 5, 5 became 20, 20 became impossible. That can't be right. Run a diagnostic. Diagnostics clear, sir. I'm reading over 300 warships. They're just appearing, not appearing, revealing themselves. The difference was everything. Throughout the solar system, humanity dropped its masks. Stealth fields that had cost trillions to develop and 50 years to perfect collapsed simultaneously. Cloaked battle stations in the asteroid belt came online. Ships that had hidden in the shadows of moons for decades activated weapons arrays that made the Tarathi fleet look like museum pieces. Where did they come from? Kelvar whispered. His communication officer looked up, face pale. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. Origin. Earth. Admiral Chen's face filled every screen in the Tarathi fleet. She wore the dress uniform of humanity's united military, a force the galaxy had no idea existed. Ambassador Kelvar, she said calmly. For 50 years you've believed us to be weak. You've seen our divisions and mistaken democracy for dysfunction. You've watched us retreat in assumed cowardice. She paused, letting her words sink in. We've been preparing for this moment since the day we met our first galactic neighbor. We learned very quickly that the galaxy respects only strength. So we showed you weakness while we built strength in the shadows. On Earth, in that Himalayan bunker, Chen stood surrounded by the fruits of humanity's greatest secret. Holographic displays showed not just the Luna defense fleet, but installations on Mars, hidden bases in the Kuiper Belt, entire shipyards constructed inside hollowed asteroids. Every colony you attacked was evacuated before you arrived. She continued. Every ship you destroyed was unmanned. Every plea for mercy was theater. We've been watching you, learning from you, and preparing for you. Kelvar found his voice. You lied to the entire galaxy. We survived, Chen corrected. There's a difference. Now you have a choice. Withdraw immediately, or learn why Earth's dominant species isn't the one that's strongest. It's the one that refuses to quit. For a moment, Kelvar's military training warred with his pride. The tactical situation was clear. His fleet was outgunned, outmaneuvered, and surrounded. The logical choice was obvious. Pride won. All ships weapons free. Show these primitives. He never finished the order. The Luna defense grid fired first. Not explosives. Humanity had learned that traditional weapons were easily countered by galactic shields. Instead, they'd spent 50 years developing something new. Kinetic harpoons. Tungsten carbide penetrators accelerated to 0.3 light speed by magnetic catapults. They struck before sensors could track them, before shields could adjust, before Kelvar's gunners could even understand what was happening. 3 Tarathi warships simply ceased to exist, punched through by projectiles that converted their mass to superheated vapor. Evasive action. Kelvar screamed, "Return fire." But human weapons weren't finished. From the asteroid belt came something worse. Swarms of autonomous drones, too small for capital ship weapons to target effectively, each one carrying enough antimatter to cripple a cruiser. The Tarathi fleet, which had conquered 17 species over 3 centuries, began to break. Sir, we're being jammed across all frequencies. Engine room reports hits to the primary reactor. We're venting atmosphere on decks 4 through 9. In the chaos, Admiral Chen's voice cut through again, calm and inexorable. You wanted to see our strength. This is us being merciful. Every ship that powers down weapons and surrenders will be spared. You have 60 seconds to decide. Kelvar stared at his displays, watching his fleet disintegrate. In 60 seconds of combat, humanity had achieved what the Tarathi Empire had believed impossible. They'd turned hunters into prey. 23 ships surrendered immediately. 15 more tried to retreat to hyperspace and found their jump drives mysteriously inoperative. Human electronic warfare, another technology the galaxy hadn't known they possessed. Only the Dominion's Fang and 7 escort ships remained defiant. "We will not surrender to primitives," Kelvar roared. "Full forward, target the Luna surface installations." His flagship surged forward, weapons hot, pride overwhelming survival instinct. It never reached Luna. From the dark side of Earth's moon rose something that made even Kelvar's trained military mind stumble. A ship unlike anything in the Galactic database, larger than anything humanity had supposedly built. Its hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it, and its weapons, the UN flagship Indomitable, fired once. A beam of coherent antimatter, focused, through magnetic containment fields, struck the Dominion's Fang amidships. The Tarathi flagship's shields, rated to withstand direct hits from fusion warheads, lasted 0.2 seconds. Then the Dominion's Fang split in half. Emergency protocols kicked in, sealing bulkheads, evacuating crew. Kelvar found himself in an escape pod, watching his flagship die, watching the human fleet that shouldn't exist dominate space that was supposed to be his. As his pod drifted, automatic distress beacon active, he heard Admiral Chen's voice one final time. "The galaxy will learn this today. Humanity doesn't seek war, but we've never forgotten how to wage it. Tell your Empress. Tell the Council. Tell every species that thought us weak. The age of underestimating humanity is over." The aftermath, the Galactic Council reconvened in emergency session 3 days after what was already being called the Luna Revelation. The chamber that had once buzzed with casual power now thrummed with fear. Matriarch Valen's energy form pulsed urgently. "We have all seen the tactical recordings. The question before us is simple. What do we do about humanity?" "Quarantine them," hissed Zephyrin Counselor Tick-Tick. "Immediately. They've shown themselves to be deceptive, aggressive, and brilliant," interrupted Counselor Morn of the Krell. His crystalline form chimed thoughtfully. "Frustratingly so. Our tactical analysts have reviewed their weapon systems. Every innovation violates no galactic law, because they're too new to be covered by our conventions." Ambassador Yara Chen, Sarah, Chen's niece, stood in the petitioner's circle, humanity's first official representative to the Council. Unlike Kelvar's theatrical entrance, she simply waited, patient and composed. Valen gestured for her to speak. "Honorable Councilors," Yara began, "humanity requests formal admission to the Galactic Council. We believe we've demonstrated the capacity to defend our interests." "You've demonstrated the capacity for catastrophic deception." Tick-Tick's mandibles clattered furiously. "How can we trust a species that lied for 50 years? Yara's response was precise. "We didn't lie. We simply didn't volunteer information you never asked for. At no point did humanity claim to be technologically inferior. You assumed. We allowed you to continue assuming." The simple truth of it silenced several delegates. Counselor Morn spoke up. "Your kinetic weapons, the antimatter beam, these technologies, where did you develop them?" "In secret," Yara answered simply. "While you believed we were squabbling among ourselves, we were actually collaborating on the largest scientific project in our species' history. Every nation contributed. Every ideology found common ground, because we learned something crucial from first contact." She paused, letting them lean forward. "We learned that the galaxy is old, comfortable. Most species achieve spaceflight, join the Council, and then stop. Stop innovating. Stop pushing. Stop questioning what's possible. You've had the same basic weapons technology for 3,000 years. Stable technology," Valen resonated. "Tested, reliable, stagnant," Yara countered gently. "We're not criticizing. But humanity comes from a world that never let us stop evolving. Every predator we faced, every disease, every natural disaster, we couldn't afford to stop innovating. That didn't change when we reached space. In orbit around Galactic Council Station, the Indomitable hung in space, a not-so-subtle reminder of humanity's capabilities. But Admiral Chen, who'd been offered a suite on the station, had declined. She understood power dynamics. You didn't need to be in the room when everyone could see your ship through the window. Back on Earth in that same Himalayan bunker, she watched the council proceedings with her command staff. "Think they'll accept us?" Commander Okonkwo asked. "They don't have a choice," Chen replied. "Not accepting us means we remain outside their jurisdiction. That scares them more than having us inside, bound by council law." She was right. Counselor Morn chimed thoughtfully. "I move that humanity be granted provisional council membership. They've demonstrated military parity with established powers. The question is whether they can demonstrate the wisdom to use such power responsibly." "Wisdom?" Tick-Tick scoffed. "They're primitives playing with weapons they barely understand." Yara's response was sharp. "We understand them perfectly. We understand them so well that in 3 days of combat, we disabled 73 Tarathi warships and killed fewer than 2,000 individuals. Your fleets leave planets burning. We exercised restraint." The words hung in the air like an accusation. Valen pulsed softly. She makes a fair point. The tactical analysis shows that at multiple junctures humanity had opportunity to maximize casualties but chose not to. Even Ambassador Kelvar was recovered alive. "Where is Kelvar?" someone asked. "Currently in a human medical facility," Yara answered. "Receiving better care for his injuries than he would in a Tarathi military hospital, I might add. We'll return him once he's recovered." It was a power move disguised as compassion, and every sophisticated delegate recognized it. The vote came 3 hours later. 17 species in favor of provisional membership, 9 against, 4 abstentions. Humanity was in. But the real changes began after the formal ceremonies ended. Within weeks, species that had dismissed humanity as irrelevant began requesting technological exchanges. The Krell wanted to understand human materials science. The Venn Collective sought partnerships in quantum computing. Even the Zephrons quietly inquired about defensive applications of kinetic weapons. The galaxy was adapting to a new reality. Humans were no longer the newcomers to be dismissed. They were the species that had outthought the entire galactic order. 6 months after Luna, Admiral Chen stood on that same moon's surface, now bristling with undisguised defensive installations. Earth hung in the black sky above, blue and precious. Commander Okonkwo joined her, looking up at their homeworld. "Was it worth it?" he asked. 50 years of hiding, pretending to be weak. Chen was quiet for a moment. "My grandmother was on the first ship that made contact with the Zephrons. She told me something I never forgot. Sarah, pride is expensive. Survival is priceless. We sacrificed pride for 50 years. We let them laugh at us, underestimate us, dismiss us. But we survived. And now?" She gestured to the Earth above them, to the fleet in orbit, to the future that humanity had secured through patience and preparation. "Now the galaxy knows. Humanity doesn't need to be the strongest species to thrive. We just need to be the one that refuses to quit, that will never give up, that will always find a way." In the council chambers, Yara Chen addressed the assembled delegates for the first time as a full council member. "Humanity brings to this council a simple promise," she said. "We will defend our friends with the same determination we defend ourselves. We will share our innovations with species that approach us in good faith, and we will never, ever stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible." She smiled. "You thought you'd discovered a weak species. You were wrong. You discovered a species that weaponized perceived weakness, that turned underestimation into advantage, that spent 50 years becoming stronger while you thought we were staying still. The galaxy trembled the moment we revealed our true strength. But we're not interested in domination. We're interested in partnership, with species brave enough to grow alongside us. Because humanity has learned something that too many civilizations forget. Comfort is the death of progress. Challenge is the engine of evolution, and we will never stop evolving. The chamber fell silent. Then slowly, Counselor Morn began to chime, the Krell equivalent of applause. Others joined. Not everyone, but enough. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.